Advertising as a career still a popular choice? Or what are students' expectations of working in an advertising agency? Or what about creative burnout and the churn rate of creatives? Well, this is the topic under discussion on today's show. You're tuned into Media and Money, and I'm Jackie Nell. We're talking advertising as a career, and joining our discussion, we've got Gordon Cook, co-founder of Vega, Klasie Wessels, owner of Street School and leadership coach, Brett Morris, Chief Creative Officer at Draft FCB, and Esther Moloi, recent graduate from the Vega School. Welcome to the show. I'd like to start with you, Gordon. I mean, we're nearing the end of the year, and of course, the intake of students is starting to happen in all different fields. But if we look at advertising, is it still a popular choice?
Yes, but I think all of us will agree that not enough young people understand it is a career, and that advertising perhaps is a set of careers within a broader set of careers that covers branding and marketing. And I think one of all of our challenges is to inform people about all these sets of potential careers.
How would they know, though, what it is actually all about? How do we educate them?
And one of our challenges, not just in South Africa, East Africa, West Africa, is we still don't really have art and design in the majority of our schools, so that's already sets us back. And our teaching of languages is a little bit stilted away from creative writing.
So there's a few challenges there.
So there's some challenges downstream.
Right.
Yeah.
Can anyone enroll at Vega, or do you go for a screening test, or how does it work?
Because we offer accredited degrees and diplomas and high diplomas, we have imposed upon us entry criteria. So, like entering any degree program, you do need to have a certain entrance standard to study at a tertiary institution. But more important, once that's out of the way, is a passion to change the world in some way, some passion to do something different, and a belief that all of us have perhaps the world's greatest asset, which is the human imagination. So anyone who really believes that's a cool thing would be listened to quite carefully as a possible candidate at Vega and other advertising schools.
And other schools. So Esther, you were a former student at Vega. Do you agree with what Gordon's saying in terms of a challenge to educate before you even get to make the decision that advertising is a career? How did it happen for you?
I completely agree. With me, it was quite a weird coincidence that I ended up at Vega, because I was in grade 10 and I had no idea what I was going to do, because I wanted to be the first black pilot. That didn't work out, because in grade 11...
Your maths wasn't so good, right?
No, my maths was actually quite great. But I just found out in grade 11 that someone had beat me to it, so I was like, darn, what am I going to do now? So then we had, luckily at my school, we had a program where you can, it's like a skills test or something like that to help you discover what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are. So I took that, and it mentioned a copywriter, and I had never heard of the thing before, so I was like, so and then I looked it up, and luckily with our school we had resources that helped us and encouraged us to pursue things and look up stuff.
Right.
And
so a complete surprise when you get there day one. And
you know, so...
and then you actually worked in the industry for
for
a bit?
For a bit, yeah.
What was that like, the transition between a student and now you're in the work environment?
Completely what I did not expect what I got basically after Vega, because I thought I was going to spend like sleepless nights working on campaigns and never going home. But it's because I was lucky enough to be in a design agency and things weren't that hectic. But apparently in the industry, it is like that, where everything, sometimes it gets really, really crazy, but it's something that we're already used to at Vega, because, sorry, but some of us aren't model students. Like a week before assignment is due, we're running around like headless chickens.
Okay, so Brett, churn rate within agencies at the moment, and given the current environment, are there jobs out there?
Yes, certainly. I mean, I think there always are opportunities. Churn rate has always been a factor in our business, and it seems as if people signal out the ad industry or the communications industry as an industry with a high churn rate, but I think it would apply to any industry. And certainly, I feel that people who tend to have longevity in our business are the ones that stick at an agency or two. Certainly all of my mentors only ever worked for 1 or 2 agencies in their career. I've only ever worked for 2 agencies in my career. So people who tend to chop and change, I don't think have the opportunity to establish themselves and to build a career. So churn rate is an issue, but I don't think it's endemic to advertising.
Do you agree, Klasie?
Sure, yeah, I can relate to what Brett referred to in terms of churn rate. I spent 25 years with one firm, and I can relate to Esther. When I started varsity, at the end of varsity, I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't even know about advertising, and when I became aware of it, I knew that's what I wanted to do, and I stayed there. And you know, we're talking here about big industry issues, but if there's an individual out there, I think that individual will make it work if for themselves. If they feel, look, I'm in this agency and I don't like it, they move. Some people are happy and they stay. So I think it depends on the individual, and you will have churn rate, like Brett said, in all industries. And Gordon, your comment about imagination and passion. You know, if somebody looking at this now is considering advertising as a career, if they have passion and imagination, they will find a place.
And is that what you would look for, Klasie? Because you were for about 10, 12 years the MD and then the chairman of Draft FCB. So what would you look for in a person before they join your agency?
Yeah. You know, there's 2 sides to this coin. These guys work in the advertising industry, and their job is to create stuff and build brands and make brands famous. So they work white sheet of paper. Typically, you know, the term is, you know, where were you when the paper was white, when you come with criticism. Yeah. But if you look at your career, it is also a white sheet of paper. So you're in the industry, be creative. If your passion is there, you will build on that piece of paper, you know, whatever you can dream of with imagination and passion.
Yeah.
Gordon?
Yeah, I think just to take up something that Brett said on the churn, one of our challenges in South Africa, and I think also in agencies in Africa, is we need an influx of young talent. Yeah. With different languages, cultural backgrounds. It's part of what makes rich, relevant communication. The challenge with, I think, young people historically, but increasingly young people today, expect some support in developing their careers. You know, the old school perhaps was tougher, so Brett probably didn't get a whole lot of support, but I hear he mentioned some mentors, which was fantastic. And we haven't resolved it, but I think schools like Vega and great agencies like FCB, we need to crack this learning organization once the young Esthers get in. And the better agencies do it better, but most are appallingly poor.
In that support from management.
And ongoing development, ongoing growth, because they just look at the client and they hear, well, if you join the client, you'll be able to do this and this, and you'll end up with an MBA or whatever. And they say, well, maybe that's more attractive. So I think, and it's tough on agencies because budgets get cut. But I think there's never before is there such a need for agencies to create better learning organizations to develop young people and people
within the agencies.
Within the agencies, and Brett and Klasie have done it themselves, but it's not a structured thing generally in the history of advertising.
You make a very good point, and I'm just to Esther to say, now you've got your qualification, and I think with a lot of qualifications, it might just be a foot in the door. It's that interview. Then it's about, you know, the fit, the culture, whatever the case may be. How did you find it to actually land a job? Was it easy?
No, not at all. I'm still looking now. It's not the easiest thing in the world. But I think you need to have a clever strategy when you look for a job, especially being as a creative. You need to know the culture of where you want to land up. So it makes it easier for you to try and fit into their culture. So it's not too hard. Like, you're not faking it when you there and you actually...
And it's quite a culture, isn't it?
Yeah,
to me, it's always amazing when you walk into an agency, you know exactly where you are. Yeah. You know, the people look a certain way. There's all sorts of weird and wonderful things. Do you think that actually helps with creativity, or the flow of creativity, rather, Brett?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the culture of an agency is part of its DNA. And that's not just about wacky clothes and silly hairstyles and
swings and corridors.
It's also about things like mentorship, how you school your young interns and young people, and also the kind of work you produce. It's all part of the DNA of an agency. And I think, as Gordon says, it's not a formal thing, and maybe it needs to be more formalized, but the best way to learn is to work with the best people. And I think in the industry there's an expectation that you're going to go into an ad agency and be the creative director from day one. Whereas Gordon says in the old days, maybe it was an old school approach, but in any industry, in law, you have to be an articled lawyer for a couple of years. As an accountant, you need to be an articled clerk for a number of years. And we have a system where young people are mentored, should be mentored to the best people in the business so that they can learn for a couple of years before they are chucked into the deep end with rocks in their pockets.
Jackie, can I jump in?
Absolutely.
Esther, you're looking for a position. You're looking for a home to grow your career. He's the big boss. The big boss.
I've already taken a card under the table.
Oh, wonderful. We might just get a job offer on the show. Excellent. Well, we'll talk about that when we come back after the break. So, Gordon, with the ever-changing environment, if you look at marketing, branding, advertising, the internet, digital, whatever the case may be, how do you ensure that the study material for your students stays relevant?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And the onus is on us to keep abreast of. I mean, the whole online communication platform is huge and has increasingly become a bigger part of the curriculum of Vega. Also entrepreneurship, because today a lot of young people have to survive themselves, and there is a tendency to start hot shop specialists, especially in the digital world. You don't have to even have an office. So I think we have a responsibility to prepare students for that.
Right. And what happens after Vega? Is there anything that you offer in terms of internships to help students get placed within the industry?
Oh, there's an internship program and the beginning of an alumni program, which is also to help with networking, and more specialist courses post the workplace. And I think that's where we need to work closer with the industry to have customized interventions that would help a Brett or a Klasie.
Does that make sense, Brett?
Yes, definitely. I mean, Gordon and I have talked about it, and I think the more we can formalize it, the better. Yeah, and it's a great gateway for young people to get better understanding and a better foot in the agency world.